My takeaway number one is that this has been the year of alliances. As we see a lot of the streamers that are joining forces, companies merging, the big fish merging with the even bigger fish, it came to be a necessity that the smaller fishes, being the independents, being the international broadcasters, the producers, the filmmakers, they decided instead of trying to be a one-man show or one-woman show or a one-country show or one broadcast show, why not come together? Because it does take a village, and it made the whole business more exciting. It was very, very clear in reading the trades, but also in being in those rooms with the big sales agencies and the big financiers and producers that were all trying to find a way to come together and listen to one another, which is a rarity because sometimes people will not listen to one another. They will be very competitive, and it felt like there was less competition and more dialogue. Second takeaway was the two crowds were the party crowd, and then there were the pros. And I think that when you see some content creators, filmmakers, producers partying a little bit too much, unless they're super young and they're excited and it's their first can, I understand that. I did that too. Pace yourself if you're planning to attend and really aim to educate yourself and to be placing yourself in strategic places where you're going to meet people who are not drunk and then they're not going to remember when you were pitching them a project. Takeaway number three, Johnny Depp is still loved, people. Opening night, Johnny Depp on the red carpet. There were so many magazines criticizing why you're bringing an abuser, a nasty person to be walking the red carpet on opening night. I have to tell you, Johnny Depp is loved by the public. I mean, the guy is a legend. He has such a good career, and he is a good person, I believe. And the fact that he was so humble when he went into the opening night of his movie, it was just a joy to watch. So Johnny Depp is loved. Johnny Depp is a name. Johnny Depp sells, and I stick to it. And that's my story. Number four, it was raining a lot. And many people did not think about getting an umbrella, including me, who I actually thought about it, but I did not want to jinx myself. Therefore, I left my umbrella at home on purpose so that I would say, it's going to be beautiful, because it always happens in Cannes. It's cloudy. And then when you get there, it's gorgeous. I was so wrong. So when it started raining, the umbrellas at 40 euros, which is like $50 a piece, started being sold. I was smart. I knew a place to go get my stuff where I go every year and get all my trinkets. I'll tell you the name of the store. It has a weird name, but I'll put it on my show notes and highly recommend that you go visit it when you go to Cannes next year. And that's where I got my umbrella. I just walked with the rain for 5 minutes and I got an umbrella for, I think, 14 euros instead of 40. So that's takeaway number four. Takeaway number five, it was almost impossible to get red carpet tickets this year. First of all, you had to go on at 7 in the morning to get a chance to book yourself for 48 hours later. And then the system will kick you out because it will crash. And then by the time you go in and go, oh, great, I'm going to get a ticket, you push the button and complet, meaning it's full. I don't think I know anybody, and I know a lot of people, as you know, in this business, and I met with a lot of people who actually scored Indiana Jones ticket. Takeaway number six, Stallone is still a name. There were several projects by Sylvester Stallone as a producer, as a star. I have to say, the classic oldies but goodies stars of the 80s, like the Stallones of the world, still have name value. Stallone is somebody, one of those stars that a 20-year-old kid will know who he is, even though he or she wasn't born when he was, the A-lister, and he still is an A-lister. And he's one of those names. So his movies, of course, sold very, very well. Also, he has great mindset, as we know, and he's a survivor, and he persisted, and he just knows how to pick right material. Number seven, the strike. Let's not forget that there's a lot of great non-WGA writers out there, especially internationally, who are getting better and better at what they do, which is why we have so many wonderful series as an international one with great writing. And those writers are not WGA. So I think the strike is going to go for a while. It will probably affect the streamers and the US companies more than the international ones. The international ones are going to keep churning product and are going to be probably the ones who are going to be making the most money because they're going to be selling to the streamers who are in needing of products. So the strike was not as much of a problem. It was more of a conversation. Takeaway number 8, the streamers were buying less. Well, in the past, you would have those $20 million acquisitions or whatever. I think the biggest acquisition at the market was a Natalie Portman, Julia Moore film, which I personally loved, and was screening in competition. And it was bought for $11 million. But I don't think there were any big acquisitions going on. Also, because people were bracing themselves. And I think the streamers are trying to budget their acquisition, and instead of spending maybe $10-20 million on a big high profile US film, they're probably going to be buying a lot of smaller films and a lot of series from international content creators. So the streamers are buying less. The number 9 takeaway was Russia, the territory, was the new Middle East in terms of bidding war on prices. Now, a few years back, the Middle East was one of the strongest territories, the most aggressive territories buying the big movies. You think Middle East is a small territory, right? And then you'll be seeing certain movies being sold for millions of dollars. And then you're going into a big territory like Germany and would buy for maybe 10% of that amount that the Middle East would be buying for. There were those 6-7 distributors who were literally fighting with one another to try to get dibs with the next studio film. And it seems that this was happening this year. Well, it was already happening in Berlin, but in Cannes more than ever with Russia. Now, we're very lucky because we represent one of the biggest Russia distributors, and they are partners with Viacom and Nickelodeon, and they also were on the hunt. But a lot of times they were getting outbid, and many distributors were outbidding one another on project, maybe because of the censorship of content because of the ongoing war, which makes no sense, by the way, from either side, as we know. But this is what was happening. So the prices were nuts and the buyers were buying them. Number 10, I feel that if we all are to survive the very fast changes that are happening in our business and in our world, is to always have a North Star and to learn to pivot, learn to adapt. There were a lot of companies shifting, adding podcasting, adding animation, books, publishing, multimedia, so that they could appeal to what we call is crowdsourcing. Having a North Star as to how you're going to survive 2 years down the road, 5 years down the road, and knowing exactly where the business is going, being a little bit of a forecaster. I have called myself one because I have been one in the past. I think that's the new business model, is anything that supports your North Star, as we call it, is something that is going to work. Number 11 is I've seen a trend, an uphill trend on impactful storytelling. I call it that type of storytelling that falls outside of judging a movie by director, actor, distribution strategy, but judging a movie by the type of conversations that is going to trigger, whether it's at the dinner table after you've seen the movie, whether you've seen the movie in the theaters or on the streamer, or just talking about it with your friends, or just making you think about taking action over an issue, that's what I call impactful storytelling. That's my little Alexiaism, but I've seen a lot of that. 12, Spain was a country of honor. Did you know that? This year, Spain was the country of honor at the Cannes Film Festival. It was a celebration of Spanish cinema, Spanish filmmakers. There were a lot of great films coming out of those pipelines. There are great tax credits in Spain. So keep an eye on that, because that was a country of honor. And I'm so glad, even though I'm Italian, I speak Spanish, as you know. So I have lots of Spanish producer friends, and I was happy to see them being honored. Point number 13. So there was this place on top of the Palais that looked like almost like a dome, where it was showing genre films nonstop. That's why it was called Fantastic Pavilion. Anything that had to do with fantasy, horror, supernatural, virtual reality, AI, technology, gaming, any of the sort of trippy things that are inciting the fantasy of people. That was a Fantastic Pavilion. And I got to tell you, in order to get in, that they were having also screenings for projects in the making that needed financing. There was screening small independent film shorts. The line to get inside the pavilion was insane. So I just was flabbergasted about the sudden success of this new Fantastic Pavilion. And I hope it's here to stay. And I hope it's going to happen again next year. And I think it will. Know that creativity is something that never dies. Entertainment never dies. We survived the pandemic. We're going to survive the strikes. We're going to survive ChatGPT. Actually, ChatGPT is going to be our friend, not our enemy, if we know how to use it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to connect with me on social media.